We're specialized in digitalization projects, like we do web, mobile, desktop, IoT, and our backend stack is always Azure-based, whatever the problem of the customer might be or of the solution. We're pretty UI focused. We're about 40 employees in our agency, and we belong to a bigger company called Akendo, which is Swedish bigger corporation. We built a product called Timeout. It's a product to manage vacation, leave, and sick days, stuff like that. What we did was we built an MVP, try to get it out to customers and see how the response would be. And we did that on a node stack, but we found out that this stack isn't robust enough and it wasn't very extensible. So we had some plans for the Hackfest, especially incorporating Microsoft technologies to have just a nicer integration experience for our customers. So first, we wanted to do a very nice AD integration with sign-in and tenant management. Then we wanted to get our MVP to a real product to use in the future, to a more robust platform. We used .NET Core for that. And initially, we wanted to build a client application, like a basic client application to do all that stuff. But we found some really cool technologies that were cool at one part, but also quicker to implement. So we skipped most of the UI part and the client-side part of just a web app, and integrated bots and Outlook. And for that, we included we planned to include a bot to let supervisors react to vacation requests of employees, and on the other side, let employees see what the status of his or her vacation request would be. Other than that, we rely on the Graph API to send stuff back into Outlook, and Outlook basically serves as a calendar view that would usually have to be implemented in a web app. Yeah, so Eugen's going to show you what we did, what we accomplished this week.
Right. Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay. It's demo time. So Timeout is used to request vacations from your supervisor. So what we needed at first was to select teams and their supervisors for all the members in the team. We used Outlook groups for that. So how does it work? Basically, this is just a prototype, so it's not really pretty. I'm logging in as an admin of our tenant right now. Takes a while. All right, there we go. And the first thing that the admin has to do is basically create the groups and their hierarchies accordingly. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a team with the two of us, which will be the team manager group. And I'm going to pick me as the supervisor. So Yannick has to request vacation from me. All right. It's up there. I'm going to save that. I think it is saved. There's no feedback, but I think it's saved.
No, should be feedback, but
can I click it right? Oh. All right. So now when Yannick logs into the application, it looks something like this. And at this point, he can request his paid leave, which will be on Valentine's Day. And I guess until until the end of the week. All right, this is where the bot integration comes into play. We tried to integrate the bot into Teams, but that didn't work out because of some weird caching issues which we had with our bot URL. We can get into this at a later point. So what we're using at this point is just a web test UI for bots. Yannick is logged in the left part, and me, I'm on the right part. Oh boy, what was that? All right, so Yannick is going to request his vacation from me. Should take a while. All right, so there it is. Yannick Weirich is requesting vacation time from Wednesday 14th to February 14th to Friday the 16th. I'm going to say no. I'm going to reject his request. Got to get back to work, I guess. But of course, this is not what we're actually going to do. So he's like, so he's just gonna send another request for me. At which point I'm like, oh, okay.
It's loading like.
Oh, it was pretty slow, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
okay. But the response is already there. So if this were a Teams channel, which is supposed to run in the future, he would have now received a notification accordingly, which just said, well, your vacation request has just been granted. What has also happened in the background was that my Outlook calendar has been filled with his absence, starting from the 14th to the 16th. And I can show you that right now, but in Yannick's calendar is, of course, his own vacation already in. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that basically wraps up the use case. First feedback would be that we accomplished what we wanted to do. And what we thought was pretty nice was that we were able to build a functioning use case way quicker than we would have been, writing views and all that sort of management stuff you have to do in the browser. Yeah, but there were also some, pitfalls. What took us the longest this week was integrating the AD sign-in. Although we heard talks about it, it was still kind of confusing which flow was best for a use case. I think we changed the flow 1 or 2 times at least. We didn't really know if client-side authentication was sufficient. We now moved it back to the server because client-side didn't really work out for us well, especially sending the request to Outlook was nicer on the server side. And we didn't really know about delegated or application tokens. It was sort of a thing we had to figure out. And the flows overview docs page is it has good information, but it's a bit crowded. Yeah, it's hard to find what you're looking for. I guess that's kind of a problem of OAuth in general. But anyways, yeah, the bots integration was pretty nice, except this one thing with the caching. We don't really know what's going on there. Yeah, the bot kept having the old URL and just an update. The Graph API was pretty new to us. We did stuff with Graph API before, but this was a deeper integration. So we like the Graph Explorer. It's very useful, and the documentation is nice. However, for our use case, we ran into some limitations. For instance, when we filtered for groups at the beginning, we were only able to do queries with start with, filter only with start with, which is not what the user would expect. You have to really know what your team name starts with, so it doesn't have something like. And yeah, other stuff what didn't work was like we tried filtering groups by some date, like deleted date or something like that. I think that didn't work out. And also what would have been really useful was that now when we query for groups, we have a lot of groups in our organization, even though our organization is not very big. And we try to narrow it down a bit so that you don't see a lot of clutter around. So we try to find groups with more than 2 members because that would, take a lot of clutter out. But that didn't work. Like we couldn't get that query working. So that's basically our feedback to like the technical stuff. Yeah, in conclusion, like it was an awesome event. It was like very nice experience, very nice people. We had great support for questions, and like the working atmosphere and environment was really good. It was fun, and it was really helpful to, to get that architecture running. So, thank you.
Hey guys, this is Richard remotely. I just had a question. I know myself and several of the team's engineers popped in and out of rooms on a pretty frequent basis. When did you guys run into the issue with the bot endpoint caching?
It was yesterday evening.
Okay, all right. I was just curious if it was a failure on our end to provide the support there. So just curious.
Yeah, no, it was more of a time issue. I guess we could have solved that, but yeah, we didn't look too much into it because of the time factor. But yeah.
So we'll make sure we follow up on that. Get you finished off.
Any other questions? Everyone's pretty quiet this morning.
This is Richard again, I guess. Another thing, when you talked about some of the frustration around Azure AD, as I recall, you guys had some confusion also around like the concept of admin consent for some of the things. Is that correct?
Yes, it's actually not working again.
Oh, okay.
I'm really not sure why, but whenever I'm trying to log in as a non-admin again with our tenant, I'm getting the message again that admin consent is required, which I have already given, I think, like 10 times. I'm really not sure what's happening there.
Okay, I'll do some additional investigation there. Thanks.
Thanks, Richard.
No other questions? Anything from the team, Steve?
Yes. Our initial plan was having it kind of production ready at the end of this week, which fell flat, I guess. We need to make some time for, I guess, fixing up a few very loose ends, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, we are definitely planning to putting this kind of version into production. And our first idea was to have a very broad solution, which is our MVP right now, which has local accounts and self-managed calendar and all that sort of stuff. But we want to make it a more focused product right now and have it very specific for people having Office 365 fully integrated into their infrastructure. I think that's going to be the plan to roll out this product just in with this sort of feature set, and see how far that takes us, and then maybe decide on having it open to other identity providers or other whatever Office products.
Feedback on the filtering is great, but I think it's addressing a problem that you mentioned in passing, which is the proliferation of groups, even though you're a relatively small organization. Is that a source of, do you have a point of view about the proliferation of groups? Is that a good thing? Is that bad? Or you couldn't be called cluttering?
Yeah, you mean I mean, if it's if we think it's normal to have this many clutter groups around the organization, well, I don't really know. Like my initial like thought was that it's gonna be cluttered, and as soon as we did the query against the endpoint, we saw that it's very cluttered. It's like, I don't know, it's stuff in there that looks like automatically generated, like groups with only one person in it, like groups that have a name of only like this one person that's in it. I'm not sure where that comes from. We're using like Office 365 since a long time. I guess you could, try to clean it up, but yeah, that I think that that's maybe a problem in our organization, but nobody really cared within our organization, and I guess that's why it's that cluttered.
Thank you for making the trip. Close it off with a big round of applause.
Thank you.